South African communities remain sharply divided as debate intensifies over the role of lobby group Afriforum in the United States' recent decision to impose sanctions on Pretoria. Former public protector Madonsela has condemned the group's action as morally reprehensible. The controversy erupted last month when the US President Donald Trump cut financial aid to South Africa, a move that reportedly impacts millions of impoverished citizens. The sanctions came after persistent lobbying efforts by Afriforum and Solidarity, which have long opposed the government's land expropriation policies and transformation laws. Speaking to Newsroom Africa, Madonsela, now a law professor at Stellenbosch University, criticized Afriforum's stance, arguing that it reflects a reluctance to accept South Africa's democratic transformation. And said, I think Afriforum is struggling with the reality of being ordinary because the new South Africa requires all of us to be ordinary. Colonialism and apartheid made white people special, and some, including Afriforum, are trying to turn back the clock. She further accused the group of aligning with the US president to undermine social justice efforts, and said they seem to have found an ally in the American president, but their actions are incompatible with both social justice and human rights, especially as we mark Human Rights Month in South Africa. Meanwhile, tensions have also flared between Afriforum and Police Minister Senzo Mchunu over the issue of farm matters. Afriforum has repeatedly claimed that white farmers are being disproportionately targeted in violent attacks, while the South African Police Service disputes this assertion. Mchunu has challenged Afriforum to provide verifiable evidence contrasting the latest crime statistics, which show that only one farmer was reported murdered in the third quarter of the 2024-2025 financial year, October to December 2024. Mchunu spoke to the Daily News and said, "We work diligently to ensure our crime statistics are accurate. We will not allow posturing by any organization to create unnecessary panic. If Afriforum has evidence contradicting our data, they must provide it." Madonsela also weighed in, saying while some crimes such as rape may be underreported, it will be nearly impossible for SAPS to misrepresent murder statistics. The latest diplomatic fallout follows Trump's executive order last month, in which he accused the South African government of egregious actions related to recently enacted Expropriation Act 13 of 2024. The US president alleged, without presenting evidence, that the law would lead to the seizure of agricultural land from white farmers without compensation. The South African government has dismissed Trump's claims as misleading, insisting that the expropriation law is designed to address historical land injustices rather than unfairly target any racial group. As the debate rages on, Afriforum continues to face backlash within South Africa, with critics accusing the group of undermining the country's sovereignty to serve its own interest. What angered South Africans more is that Afrikaner rights group Afriforum and the Solidarity movement recently informed Washington that they are considering President Donald Trump's offer for white Afrikaners to resettle in the United States, and their argument was based on South African government under President Cyril Ramaphosa that he has arrogantly refused to negotiate on issues affecting their community. The two organizations stated the brutality and frequency of farm murders compared to other murders in the country was very high. Organizations presented a memorandum to Trump's administration stating farm murders have hit the Afrikaner community hard. The memo stated the community is particularly exposed to government that expropriates without compensation while being exposed to land grabs and land occupation, as well as calls for violence against them that are made publicly without any repercussions for those spreading hate against Afrikaners. Racial legislation also actively discriminates against this community. Racial discrimination is not limited to this group, as it includes white South Africans in general and other minorities. However, the Expropriation Act indicates an expropriating authority may not expropriate property arbitrarily or for a purpose other than a public purpose or in the public interest. It states expropriation may not be exercised unless the expropriating authority has without success attempted to reach an agreement with the owner or holder of a right in property for the acquisition thereof on reasonable terms. And expropriating authorities therefore obliged to enter into negotiations with the owner of a property required for such purposes. The Act states an appropriating authority must also attempt to reach an agreement on the acquisition of the property before resorting to expropriation, except in circumstances where the right to use property temporarily is taken on an urgent basis in terms of a provision in the legislation. The law provides for disputes to be referred for mediation or to appropriate courts. In 2020, legal battle between the SA Human Rights Commission and others versus City of Cape Town and others, the courts confirmed municipalities have a legal remedy to respond to land grabbing in their jurisdictions. The judgment warned municipalities to uphold the rule of law when they repossess property from unlawful occupiers. A report by the Dula Omar Institute stated land grabbers are mostly poor people in desperate need of housing. The report said challenges of unemployment, food insecurity, homelessness, and slow progress in the provision of housing and land has arguably contributed to the land grab crisis confronting local government. The Afriforum and Solidarity Movement also stated that the possibility of resettlement through the U.S. refugee admissions program and possible humanitarian aid are being considered, and we have appreciation for the Trump administration's inclusion of these matters in the executive order. Though individuals may qualify for a resettlement program and make use of this generous offer, most Afrikaners will remain in South Africa.
I think Afriforum is struggling with the reality of being ordinary. Because the new South Africa requires all of us to be ordinary. Whereas colonialism and apartheid made white people special people. And Justice Cameron writes in one of his articles about how he was lost among whites because he was from a poor family and his father was in jail. But the one thing that gave him solace was that at least he wasn't black. And I think ordinary white people find solace in the fact that they were not black. Now that in the new South Africa,
What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.